Maria, for the very warm welcome, and thank you everyone for being here present or joining online. I find this very privileged to stand amongst professionals and have this conversation. By way of introduction, I'm not a nutritionist. I am a veterinarian by background, and I'm affiliated to the Federal University of Agriculture, Zuru, Nigeria. This is a conversation from my postgraduate study, and I'll be talking about the One Health approach to sustainable diets in low and middle income settings. And so these are the four key dimensions I would like to talk about. What is One Health and why it's important? The food system and its connection to One Health. A little bit on my research findings and the benefit of One Health approach to discussions on sustainable diets in low and middle income settings. So, what is One Health? I know most of us, or a few of us, have heard about One Health, the intersection between humans, animals, environment, people, plants. Yes, that's the definition of One Health. But not just talking about the different domains that are involved in One Health, but also the collaboration, the mobilizing people from different sectors, different communities, different disciplines to come together and have conversations about different topics like energy and air, safe and nutritious food, and how we can find solutions to climate change and its impact in our lives and future generations in a very sustainable way, obviously. So when we talk about sustainable diets, we'll have to talk about the food system. And what does the food system look like? It comprises all the several actors, the inputs, the activities that go in ensuring that the ecological and the sociological environments of food, demand, and supply, from the point of production to the point of consumption, and it was also the disposal of food waste. Within the system, there are a lot of things to look into. Talk about the health system, the political system, the economic system, the biological system. And before food moves from the farm, or when food moves from the farm until getting to your plate and how it nourishes our body, a lot of these systems interact and interplay. And we can't just look at it from one point. If we don't understand the big picture and how they relate to one another, there might be chances of unintended consequences in other systems as well. So a lot of us from the previous speakers have spoken about sustainable diets and very beautiful presentation, but I realized that a number of us had talked about the top part of sustainable diets, and we have left out the bottom part of sustainable diets. By that, I mean the culturally acceptable, accessible, economically fair and affordable, nutritionally adequate, safe and healthy, while optimizing natural and human resources. And I believe that from all the conversations we have had so far, this is one of the challenges, or these are the challenges that we face in low and middle income settings. These solutions that we are providing, are they economically fair to people with reduced resources? Are they affordable? Are they nutritious? Are they safe? And I feel that's the basis for my conversation today. Myself and colleagues did a literature review, just conceptualizing dietary sustainability in low and middle income settings through a One Health lens. And we tried to find out that when conversations on sustainable diets are being made in low and middle income countries, that what are we actually looking at? From the definition of sustainability, diet is evaluated on 5 broad dimensions: diet, nutrition, health, economics, social, environment, beautiful. And from a One Health perspective, we look at human, animals, people, and plants, beautiful. But when conversations on dietary sustainabilities are being made, from our research, we found out that most of the studies were from upper middle income countries. 77% of the studies were from upper middle income countries, 20% from lower middle income countries, and just 3% from low income countries. So when you tie this back into global representation of sustainable diets, very low on representation from low and middle income settings are being made. And if this is driving our policies, driving our intervention strategies, is sustainable diets really economically fair? Is it really affordable to these settings of people? We also found out that there's increased focus on human and environmental health. And I understand the climate change is a global threat. It is massive. But there are a lot of other conversations that we need to have regarding sustainable diets. What about the plants? Who is talking about the health of the plants? What about the animals? Who is talking about the health of and the well-being of the animals when it comes to conversations around sustainable diets? Yeah, that's you need to go through the material. Yes, the other the other discussions or the findings we found from the review was the fact that most of these studies used index scores developed from like the Planetary Health Diet, beautiful research on that, and they found that the majority, all the diets in the studies from the review were of low diversity, low quality, and very high environmental impact. So what that portrays is that the diets in low and middle income settings, the diets in low and middle income countries are not sustainable for present and even for future generations. But the question here is, what's like if you go down to the granular narration of what this is, you realize that there's a lot of inequalities, there are a lot of inequities. Most of the diets in the urban areas seem to be more healthy than the diets in the rural areas. So even if policies are being set out, it's favoring a particular group over the others. And that's not what we want as a sustainable future. Another challenge that we found out from the work was the fact that amidst all the works that are being done, beautiful work from other researchers and policy makers, there are a lot of data gap in low and middle income countries. And those data need to be filled in order to influence research in those areas and better intervention strategies. So what are the benefits of the One Health approach? In looking at low and middle income settings when it comes to sustainable diets, most of the challenges we have, the double burden of malnutrition, the triple burden of malnutrition, but another rising risks with low and middle income countries is food security and food safety. And when studies on sustainable diets are being made, very little conversations are being made around food safety, food-borne illnesses, vector-borne diseases, because this food is not just nutrition for some of these settings. It goes all the way back as very much interlinked to their traditions, their cultural heritage. So if we're not looking into what exactly are the challenges in these countries, then probably we're just providing solutions that are not very beneficial to them. And that's why we have things like pushback, cultural pushback. Like she mentioned, she went to Tanzania and she said that can we get you to eat just plant-based diets? And they're like, nah. That's because that when we are having these conversations, how much stakeholders are we getting on board? How are we having these conversations? Is it from a bottom-down is it from a top-down approach or a bottom-up approach? Or are we collaborating with different stakeholders in this? But I didn't come here to bore you with a lot of negatives. There are positive actions that are being made. And the World Health Organization, the quadripartites, FAO, UNEP, there's joint action on to how do we go about this in low and middle income settings. And very beautiful, they have identified the food safety risks, and they're beginning to roll out frameworks on how to monitor this, how to build capacities in these areas, and how to get better at it. And also this beautiful study talks about the state of food systems worldwide and the countdown to 2030. Very beautiful study because analyzing different indicators and how it is over time. But one challenge the study also highlighted is the data gap as well. So we need to fill that data in order to get research and to build evidence-based policies. The positive outcomes that I have identified, there are many more. I know GAIN have a lot of research in those areas. Many people would have, research groups would have done a lot of beautiful work. These are just a few I highlighted. And the fact that in these countries, in these settings where to get the AI, to get the beautiful technologies, to get the cultivated meat in, is still a challenge. How can we solve the problem? And a lot have come into regenerative agriculture, have come into ecology, agroforestry, and there's really good improvement. Some of the challenges in these areas are heat stress, heat stroke, and it's not just affecting humans, it's also affecting their animals, it's affecting their plant produce. Like the other speaker mentioned, that with increased temperature, and shifting pattern of rainfall, precipitation, that the nutrient qualities of this produce are actually being reduced over time. And it's not just affecting present generations, it's also affecting future generations, in that most of these children that are being born, they are being born stunted, affecting their IQ and also their school reaching age. And it's just like a circle. If we don't address it now, what does the future hold for us? So I think with all that, and the subsequent speakers will have a better view as to the direction in low and middle income settings with respect to sustainable diets. Conversations around it need to be with the people that are faced with these challenges, and how do we map solutions going forward. And that's why I'm excited about the think tank and the mapping session that we have later on. So, thank you.